YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back with the final week of the regular season here with my score predictions and picks against the spread. We'll be back with this video for playoffs, so don't worry. Excited about our playoff content. Some of it very similar to the regular season, but some new stuff as well. So super pumped. Follow us on Twitter. A lot going on there, news and more. We're gonna start getting going on the offseason stuff as well. Sponsors Liquid IV GLD Shop. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. This week's going to be tough against the spread because we don't know everyone that's sitting. Maybe we will by game time, but Steelers in the first game, Steelers play the Ravens. It feels like a must-win for the Steelers. They could still get in the playoffs with a loss, which is wild, but that's very unlikely. So they're looking to win to have a chance to get in. They're favored by 3.5, and yeah, the Ravens are settled into that one spot, and they're a team with durability concerns, or at least in the past. So it makes sense to rest the starters as they should. And I expect them to, especially Lamar and other guys that have injuries pop up in the past or this year. But Harbaugh doesn't like to lose. We see it in preseason. They're gonna try to win this game. He's not in his mind. He's not gonna want to go into the playoffs with a loss, like that losing attitude. So I think he's they're gonna play it safe, but they're really gonna try to win this game. They're at home. Last game of the year against a rival. These games are always close. We've seen them close. We've seen them win with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, who we expect to be at quarterback. So I'd imagine this game stays close. 3.5 seem, even though I'm pretty close. I would recommend not putting much money on this week's slate of games just because the situations, the circumstances. But I'll take the Steelers in a must-win. They've been playing better, but I could see the Ravens winning that game just because how good of a team they are. The backups are good, and just the attitude there. So I'm going to go 19-17, mainly because the backups are in for the Ravens, but I think it'll stay close. Next game, Texans Colts Saturday night. It's a win and get in situation and a win and potentially win your division if the Titans give them some help beating the Jaguars. I'm going to go with the Texans. They do have a list of injuries right now, but I would imagine most of those guys play. List of starters on the injury report, but this should be good. The Colts beat them up last time they played, but that was very early in the season where the Texans were still trying to find their way. I think the Texans are the better team. I'm pretty confident that the Colts could win this game. The better team doesn't always win, but either way, I'm pretty confident the Texans being the better team in general. Like who's better off like putting up a fight in the playoffs. I think the Texans. You can argue who has the better offense. They're pretty close. Definitely like the Texans' defense better. Specifically, the difference between these two teams is the run defense. So I think Stroud goes out, puts on somewhat of a show to kind of win that, maybe win that Rookie of the Year, which is a battle with Puka Nacua. So I'm just going to trust Stroud a little bit more over Minshew. I'm going to trust the Texans. I think specifically what pops up is that run defense. D'Amico Ryan's calling that defense there, and that defensive line has been on fire. So I'm going to go 26-24 Texans, but this should be a 50-50 game. It's going to be a fun one. The Texans are -1. I have them covering that one spread by 1, winning by 2. So it's going to be close. My thinking, such a good game. These teams have the same record. I know the Texans were missing a load of starters and their quarterback for some games there, but they're pretty close to even. But the NFL is going to make sure this game's kept close. So 2-point game, Texans winning it, in my opinion. Next, Browns, Bengals. Yeah, the line was 6, and it was like, all right, they must know that the Browns are sitting guys, and it turns out just before going to record this that they will sit Flacco, they will start Jeff Driscoll, and they will sit other starters as well. So Vegas had some insiders obviously there, and I'm going to have the Bengals taking care of business. So just covering that spread. This is probably the closest I had it, so even though I have them just covering that spread, I do think they will cover it. I think they'll win by at least 7, but, you can see the Browns putting up 16 and the Bengals still maybe struggling to score, but their starters will be in, and they're going to try to win the game at the end of the year, and the Browns will have backups in, so I don't expect them to do much. So 20-13, the Bengals by 7 is what I got. I thought about 23-13, but also thought about like a 23-16. It's going to be somewhere in that range. Next, Vikings Lions. The Lions, it sounds like, will play their starters, Dan Campbell said, and they could possibly get the 2 seed, so they're probably going to get the 3. But in the Vikings, I don't know what their situation is. I mean, I know they could win and possibly get in. They're going to need a miracle, but I said I don't know what their situation in terms of like what are they trying to do. I mean, they went into that Packers game playing a rookie at quarterback, and They switched a lot of things up on defense, which was odd, like a lot more man coverage. So I don't know where their mindset is at. I don't think it's there, to win the fully invested to really push to win this football game. Not that they're trying to lose or anything like that, but I'm going to go with the Lions taking care of business, 27-20, covering that 3. Most Vikings games, not the last one, stayed close though, but I think the Lions cover that 3. Campbell's going to try to get these guys to win and get that right attitude heading into the playoffs, trying to catch some momentum, because when they were starting to play a little bit worse a few weeks ago, a little bit more than a few weeks ago, it kind of was contagious to them. So I think they're going to try to get the right energy, momentum going into the playoffs. That's just how I view things there with the Lions. So I got them winning by 7. They possibly could win by more. Jags Titans. I mean, the Titans almost spoiled things for the Jags at the end of last year with Josh Dobbs. It felt like they were going to when they really had no shot. This game's in Tennessee. The Titans have been better at home this year, I suppose. Lately, they've just been a bad football team. So you could see them make, just because what's on the line, the Jags have been playing worse lately besides last week when they played the Panthers. You could see it for those reasons, it being close, but it's tough to predict that. The Titans are playing as bad as anyone right now. That offensive line is bad, really one of the worst I've ever seen. The Jags defense played ball last week. Trevor Lawrence coming in. They're going to click into playoff mode at some time. The Jags probably will be better. I'm not saying they're going to for sure win a playoff game, but I think the way they will play in the playoffs, and they have to make it first, but I think it's going to be better than what people think. I'm going to take the Jags by 10 points here, but it's 5.5. You would think, just comparing the two teams and how they're playing, how the Titans are playing, you'd think the line would be 7.5, 8, maybe up to 10, where I have them winning. But it is 5.5 because of just what's on the line here. And the Titans at home could play spoiler. So imagine if the winner of the Texans Colts wins this division, it'd be crazy. So that's where it's a little scary. But because of the matchup, I say the Jags by 10. But it's a different year. But that game at the end of the year, the Jags would win big. And the Titans kept it close. Looked like they were going to win, actually. Was there a scoop and score situation, if I remember correctly, that changed the whole game? So, yeah, it could be crazy. Jets-Patriots. The Patriots seem to have success against the Jets. Now, the Jets, maybe it's their time. The Patriots are playing as bad as ever this year, I should say. But they've been playing a little bit better ball recently, and that's a reason for me to go with the Patriots at home. I think both defenses will play solid. I'm going to trust the Patriots offense a little bit more. And they are favored by 1.5. So they'll just cover that. Thought about a win by 2 or 3. That covers that there. But just a sketchy one if you're trying to bet on it. But I do like that it's in New England. Again, they should win by 2 or 3. They could lose the game, and their defense wins it. I think they have the better offense as well in this game. For Falcons Saints, I wouldn't put money on this one. I have a push. We'll make a pick at the end. I'll force a pick with my against the spread. But I do have a push on the line. I have the Saints winning 23-20. If this was in Atlanta, for not all the marbles, it's on a win and get in, but they need to win, and the Falcons would need the Bucs to lose, and they would actually win the division. The Saints, same thing, but they could actually get in with a Packers loss against the Bears and a Seahawks loss against the Cardinals with the Saints winning. And that's pretty doable, actually. We'll see my predictions coming up. That's actually pretty doable for the Saints or the Falcons to get in. I think more so the Saints at home here. But yeah, if the Falcons were home, I would probably pick the Falcons in a similar game. But that game was already played. The Falcons won. It was a crazy game. It felt like at times the Saints were outplaying the Falcons, but they had some sloppy turnovers. They had Jesse Bates had a pick 6 early. I don't think it would be as crazy of a game where defense, not turnovers, but just stops. Saints at home is what I'm more comfortable with, but these teams are pretty damn even on the year. But it should be, this is what it'll be around. 23-20 Saints is what I got. Bucks Panthers. It was somewhat close last time. The Buccaneers were pretty comfortable. A lot on the line here. Panthers playing spoiler. They're not worried about losing and getting the first pick because the Bears will get their pick, and it's already locked in at the first pick. So they're not worried about losing anything like that. They're gonna go out and try to win. The Buccaneers need to win that division. It felt like they had it wrapped up. They blew it last week, but I thought, maybe in the back of their minds they knew it. They They went into that like, we got it. We're hot right now. We're the best in football. And then, we got the Panthers next week, so we're safe. We're safe right now. So maybe they kind of had that attitude a little bit. I know they definitely went out there and tried to win, and they did not. They got embarrassed. But I think those things kind of play a part. I think they play a part a lot of time in college football, like with teams, but I think it's got to play a little bit of a part in the NFL. So I think they go out there and take care of business in this one and win 24-13. The way the Panthers played last week, ugly. Buccaneers are still, overall, the last several weeks, they're playing really good football. So I think they'll play good football on this one, 24-13, covering that 4.5. I'm surprised that line is that low. It's like, it's one of those situations where it's just too much pressure in a team playing spoiler. It's what Vegas is thinking, but not all of these games are going to go like that. I think we talked about on the Jags Titans where you think the line would be higher than 5.5. This one, you think it would be higher than 4.5. I don't think both those games are going to go with like super close just because what's on the line. The chances are maybe one of them does, but I think chances are one of them, a team just dominates. So I have one winning by 10 and one winning by 11, the Buccaneers here. So we'll see. Bears, Packers. I like the Bears in this game. A lot of people confident with the Packers, very confident. I'm surprised with this line. It looks like Vegas is as well, and usually Vegas is right with these things. I'm surprised about it. I think it's a 50-50 game. I think the Packers could win. They're playing a lot better ball in the second half of the year. But remember, before the Vikings game, they were definitely kind of, even though they beat the Panthers, they didn't play that great. But the games before that, they got embarrassed by the Bucs. They lost to the Giants. They were super sloppy in that game. So they did get cold in there as well. So it's not like there's games here and there where they're playing a lot better football than they were. And sure, yeah, and that could apply here. And I think people are basing too much off the Vikings game. The Vikings played a rookie quarterback. They changed things up on defense, which gave the Packers the advantage as well. The Packers completely dominated them, obviously. But the Packers could keep rolling, but I don't like their defense. I don't think the fans like their own defense either. Like, it looked okay against the Vikings, but you can't expect what it did there. I think pretty much anybody can score on the Packers defense. The Bears defense, on the other hand, is playing like one of the best defenses in football. Their run defense is the top run defense in football. So the difference in defenses right now is absurd. Absurd. I feel more safe with the Packers offense by a ton? No. I like the Packers offense better, but not by a ton. But you factor in the defenses, in the difference in defenses, it's significant. It's significant. I know it's in Lambeau. The crowd's going to be crazy. The Bears are confident, comfortable playing with their cold weather. They did it last week. They dominated the Falcons, a very good defensive team, in cold weather. Bears offense is playing better, and the Bears offense could shit the bed at any given time. They do have struggles closing games out, so could they blow this at the end? It's possible. I don't want to overthink things, actually. I think some people don't want to overthink things and say, Packers always beat the Bears or at Lambeau to get in. I got to go Packers. I think it's a different year. There's a major difference in defenses, and I think that will be the difference in this game. So I have a squeaker, and I got the Bears playing spoiler here, 24-23. It's really on the Bears offense. If they like don't shoot themselves in the foot, they will score. They will score points. And with the way that defense is playing, they should help them win that game. It's going to be a hell of a game here. This is going to be big. NFC, one of the biggest rival games in the history of sports. The oldest. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun here. Bears are on a bit of a streak at home. So them being away from home, I think, makes this a bit more interesting. I'd be very confident if they were at home, but they're not. So it should be a fun one here. Broncos, Raiders, it'll be Stidham versus the Raiders. The Raiders have been playing a lot better ball recently. Even against the Colts, they put up a fight. The defense has been playing really good. And they're at home. They're much better at home. I think Zamir White has another very solid game. I think they'll take care of business here, 23-17. It could go either way. It could be close. But I like that it's sitting under the 3 spread. I got them winning by 6 in Vegas here. Eagles, Giants. I've heard some rumors, small rumors, that the Eagles could sit some guys. It doesn't make sense to me because if they win and the Cowboys lose, they win the division. And they can sit there and go, well, the Cowboys are playing the Commanders. They're probably not going to lose. I don't like that attitude for multiple reasons because the Cowboys are 3-5 away. They're not good away. Does that mean they're guaranteed to lose to the Commanders? Like, no. I'm the spoiler, I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win. but it is possible. It's possible. So say the Eagles play their backups, they lose, and then the Cowboys lose. They look like a bunch of assholes. Really, is a good word for it. A bunch of clowns. So I don't really see that. I don't know who came up with that, but we'll see. I think they'll take care of business. They got to be salty about the past weeks, and the Giants kind of made it interesting last time they played, and they should take care of business here, but it's only a 5-point spread. The way Giants call games at the end, I don't know if they really want to win. So 27-20, Eagles taking care of business and hoping the Cowboys lose their game. Seahawks and Cardinals. The Cardinals are tough. They're not a free win. They played very well against the Eagles in that comeback last week. So I see some people picking them against the spread. I think the Seahawks take care of business here. It could go either way. Maybe the Cardinals cover the spread as well, but 2.5. I'm going to take the Seahawks. 27-23. Pete Carroll will get these guys ready to go, kind of in playoff mode. They're going to need some other help. I do have the Packers losing, and they would get in that scenario. But the Cardinals, even though they're tough, they have played really bad football at times. Like, look at the Bears game. I think Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet run wild in this game. I think they'll do enough in the passing game. I think the defense will step up when they need to. So I like the Seahawks in this game, taking care of business 27-23. But Kyler could have a solid day. I just think the Seahawks win by at least a field goal in this one. But I have them winning by 4. Chiefs-Chargers, one of the toughest ones to pick because it was announced that the Chiefs will sit Patrick Mahomes because they are locked into that 3 seed. And I read that they will also sit other starters, but we don't know which starters. And Travis Kelce will maybe start in this game. Why? Because he needs 17 yards to get 1,000 yards. So I think they'll put him in until he gets to 17 yards. Are they going to force him the ball? It's a weird situation. It's tough to pick because of that. Blaine Gabbert will be at quarterback. They have some other guys that have been beat up, so I would think they sit those guys like Isaiah Pacheco, probably Nick Bolton, guys like that. Like, they've been a little beat up here and there. There's more than just that. The Chargers, they basically have backups in too. Easton Stick's a backup. He's not the best in the world, but he can run. So it's tricky because the Chiefs could win with their backups. If Mahomes was getting like a series, I would probably pick the Chiefs because that would be enough, but he's not. So it is pretty tricky. The Chargers are surprisingly favored by 3.5. I think it's a little much. I think it'll be really close because essentially it's backup quarterbacks both sides. But more the fact that I read that other guys by a Chiefs reporter will probably sit, and that makes sense. I'll take the Chargers in a defensive squeaker, 17-16. Please do not put money on that game though. If you want to go Chiefs money line, throw a couple bucks on it. I'm not completely against it, kind of for fun, but it's a mystery, really. And it's a very similar situation with this game. I have a 1-point squeaker again. It's likely going to be backups for both teams. Yes, the Rams can get the 6 or the 7 seed, so you'd think maybe you would want the 6, but to them it's just get in and they are in, but get in and play good, and we'll take care of business like we did the Super Bowl year. It's just all about the game plan and being healthy and being ready. And they do have guys with durability issues: Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. So the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. So play your backups, and the Niners will likely play backups as well, as they are locked into the 1 seed. Now the Niners seem to play good whoever's out there, especially at quarterback, because the Kyle Shanahan offense, and they're at home. So I'm going to trust them with backups a little bit more. And I was actually originally going to have them covering and winning, like the Rams scoring little to nothing with me thinking Stafford's out. But I remember I almost forgot, they brought in Carson Wentz, and he has some shit to prove right now. He really does. And that's a far better backup than what they had before, obviously. They had Rippon last time. So, and I would imagine Puka plays. They're confident with him staying healthy and him chasing the rookie of the year. So I think they could make it interesting. I do think that, and they could win the game, but they are getting 3.5. I think it's a little bit too much though, because I think they can win the game depending on how many backups and starters play. Again, I think Carson Wentz, to me, he's been bad recently, but he's better than some starters out there possibly. Well, a backups that are starting now at least. And then Puka, like we said, he can play. So it could be pretty damn close. We'll take the Niners by 1 just because they're Both teams are very well coached, but the way the Niners coach like backup guys like that created the difference for me here. Cowboys and Commanders, we talked about those other games. We talked about those games that are just like the Jags should easily beat the Titans. The Buccaneers should easily beat the Panthers, but those lines, those spreads are closer than you would think, like 5.5, 4.5. So Vegas is thinking like trap, like what's on the line. Those teams got to win. The other team's playing spoiler. So let's keep it close. This one, they are not thinking that. The Cowboys got to win, not only get that 2 seed, but to win the NFC East when everybody thought, except for me going into the year, that the Eagles for sure would win. So it's big for the Cowboys here. It is big, and the Vegas believes them. And the Commanders are playing like a bottom 2 team in football right now. And Hollow was really bad last time they played. The Cowboys blew them out. Obviously, they dominated them. But I think it could be interesting because the Cowboys are a far worse team away. Now, they're not playing the Bills away. They're not playing the Eagles away, the Dolphins away. They're playing the Commanders. It is much different. So I will pick the Cowboys, the much better team. 27-17, but it doesn't change that they are still worse away in an outdoor game compared to their home indoor game. The Commanders, even though they got beat up by the Niners last week, there was a part of that game where they were kind of putting up fights. They looked a little bit better in short yards, stopping the run. I thought Howe was a little bit better. So they're here to play spoiler, nothing to lose. Sure, you would like to lose to get the second overall pick, but in the Cowboys, a lot of pressure away. So I don't think the Cowboys, they could, but 13.5 is a little bit too much for me to say they cover. I'm going to go a 10-point game, and it could be a big-time trap game here for the Cowboys to blow it. But they're just far better. So 27-17, they should have success through the air, on the ground, and with their pass rush. In the final game, the big one, I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. The over-under is high, but it's pretty low for this game, in my opinion. This would crush it, actually. 31-27, but the way I look at it, look at how they played last time. Doesn't guarantee it's going to be the same the next time, but it was all offense. It was all offense, and those defenses were a lot healthier. That's the key. It was a lot healthier last time around. The Dolphins got really beat up on defense. Now they don't have Jalen Phillips. They haven't had him for a few weeks, but this time around they don't have him with the Bills. Bradley Chubb just got injured. Xavier Howard just got injured. And Josh Allen usually dominates the Dolphins defense as it is. They're fighting to get in. I think the Steelers game on Saturday will be pretty big. If the Steelers win that game, it's like the Bills are out if they lose. So they're going to have to go even harder probably. So that actually could play a part. But these guys are going to be fighting for their lives. It's going to be like in this game. So the Bills will score on the Dolphins. They always do. They're capable of doing it. What's on the line will push them to do it, and the Dolphins are extremely beat up at the wrong time. So the Bills will score points. The Dolphins want to win that division. They're going to go all out the game plan and offense. You could score on the Bills defense. They've been playing better, but you could score on them. And the Dolphins are so beat up on defense that mindset will be, it's on us. Tua's going to be like, it's on us. Mostert, Achane, Tyreek Hill. It is on us. Mike McDaniel calling his offense, same thing. So I think they're going to go out and then they'll have some success with their speed on offense. I think it's going to be a shootout, but the Bills playing much better. Few things. The Bills playing much better ball recently, and they have to win to get in the playoffs. They are a playoff team, so that's kind of number 2. They're gonna have that mentality, like they got to get in. Number 3, the Dolphins have struggled against the better teams. They did recently beat the Cowboys. There's one. I think they're capable of beating more teams, but it's tougher for them, And then the last thing is they just got extremely beat up, especially on defense. Waddle 2 weeks ago at the wrong time. So I know the Bills are missing guys too, so don't get me wrong there, but that's huge. That's huge. So I'm going to go with the Bills, just covering the spread. They would probably beat them by more, but just so much is on the line here that it's bound to be close. The NFL probably makes sure it's close. And then for my against spread picks, we were number 1 among experts. I had a bad week last week, so we were actually number 2. The top guy is 145 and 100, so an extra push there. So I'm 1 loss behind him. So see, it's a tough week to try to claim that number 1 spot because we don't know who's playing, who's starting at this point, but could have some updates during the week. But I'll take the Ravens plus 3.5. It's a tricky one right off the bat because they're going to play backup. Steelers are fighting to get in. They've been looking good, but the Ravens are going to try to win that game, whether it's starters or backups. And guys like Huntley, they're good enough to win ball games. So I'll take the Ravens plus 3.5 against spread. Texans, I like them to win, so I will take them -1. The Bengals should cover that 6. It's going to be damn close, but they should cover it with the Browns playing Driscoll and backups. I do. I think they barely do it, but I'm pretty confident they cover that. Lions -3. That's a type of team and coaching staff that wants to get the right momentum and energy going into the playoffs. And they're playing for a 2 seed. It's possible, I guess we'll say. So I think they cover that 3. The Jags, it could be a trap because so much is on the line for them. But they're far better than the Titans. They should cover the 5.5. Should win by at least a touchdown. The Patriots -1.5. It's going to be close, but home against the Jets, who they always beat. I like that it's under 2. Saints, I wouldn't touch. I have a push, but I'll take the Saints -3. It's tough. Falcons +3, Saints -3. I have a 23-20 final. That's tough if you're being forced to pick it. I like the Bucs -4.5. I mean, it's a kind of a trap, a lot on the line, but they choked last week with that on the line. But it's the Panthers. They should cover that. Should win by at least 6 points, in my opinion. But I have them winning by more. Other games, the Bears +3. I have the Bears winning. Just far better defense, and that doesn't guarantee they win. But the defensive difference is insane in this game. And playing spoiler, and the Packers have been on and off in the recent games, especially on defense. They've mainly been off besides the last game. So I like the Bears +3. Raiders, I like that it's a half point under 3. Broncos could win, but I like the Raiders covering that. Eagles -5 could be a little tricky. They could win by a field goal, but I like them covering. Seahawks, a lot of people picking the Cardinals +2.5, but I think the Seahawks get in that right zone, and they have a day running the football, which will help them win by at least a field goal. Chiefs +3.5, don't touch it. Backups playing for Chiefs, but I mean the Chargers have a backup quarterback. So the Chiefs could win the game. That's what kind of was my thinking. They both have backups technically, so they could win the game. So, but I'm gonna pick the Chargers, but against the spread, I'll take the Chiefs. Getting that, I like that it has that hook on it. Rams, it's a similar situation. Both teams playing their backups. It'll be Carson Wentz and Will Puka play to try to win Rookie of the Year. So a battle there. I think the Rams could win the game, depending on who plays. But if their starters play, I think they will win the game. But I mean, if Stafford plays, I think they will win the game. But I think some starters will play. So they have a shot to win, so I'll feel more comfortable with them getting 3.5. Commanders, they could get their ass completely beat by more than 13.5, but a lot on the line, a pressure game for the Cowboys, and they are a little sus away, so I'll take the Cowboys to win, but 13.5 seems like a lot. And the Bills, I'll have them just covering that 3. The Dolphins beat up at the wrong time. The Bills, it seems like they have a matchup advantage, Josh Allen and company against the Dolphins, so I'll take them. I would probably, it's a little too close to call, though. I think the NFL will make sure this game's close, so that makes it a little tough. To bet on, I wish it was 2.5, but I do have them winning by 4. So that'll wrap it up. Hopefully we'll have a good week here. It's a tricky week for sure. I'd say be careful out there because we don't fully know how many snaps, who will play, how many snaps. Like, we know the obvious, like Mahomes will sit, Flacco will sit, but then there's some guys here and there, like random players, like they will probably sit we don't know about yet, or they'll be on a snap count. It's tricky. So we'll see what happens this week. Our weekly picks video is up. It was a lot of fun last night, so check that out if you're interested. I cannot wait for our playoff content, and we'll have off-season content rolling out more and more. We have some up already, so check it out. Like, subscribe to notifications on. It'll be much, much appreciated. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.